Welcome everyone to game one of the OTA finals. The Sharks versus the Beasts. Bob Blown going up against World Cup champion, Real Gamer. Number 1 and number 2 worldwide will be going up against each other in a 5-game showdown on the biggest stage of Time Bomb. And now we're getting started. Preliminary resets. Oh, we gotta stop already before the first game even starts. Or first round even started. Now entering the game, we got Kai with the bomb. Kai and Slump going at it. Slump struggled immensely yesterday against the Titans. Kai taken out by Slump. Got ankled by Slump. Shots demise going up against Slump. Slump, the clear starter for this round. Tracking down Shots next. Slump already proving to be a machine. Slump going up against Arud. Arud sticking to Slump. Slump grabs the bomb. Needs to track. Can he do it? Unable to do it. Narrowly missed. Bomb is now Fantana up against Arud. Arud with bomb once again. Arud, can he track it to Fantana? No, he's unable to do so. Vox now with the bomb. Fantana to Vox. Vox tracking it back to Fantana with ease. Ferocious now alive. The server maker. Vox going up against Ferocious. Can Vox track it? Ferocious grabs. Has time. And Vox is out. No one to sack. Is now Bob Blown. Given to by Real Drew. Real Drew walks away. We thought we were going to get the 1v1 that we were all anticipating. And Sharks will take round number 1. After round 1, Fantana is issued a leg warning. Fantana to Shots. Kai. Kai Slump with the bomb, taking out Kai. Now you have Slump and Shots in the mix. Shots. Passing it over to Slump. Fantana now with the bomb. Vox to Fantana. Fantana holding on as long as he can. Vox not allowing it. Vox getting track it over. Ends up sacking himself instead. Failed chain attempt by Shots. Fantana outruns Arud. Arud gave it to Chris. Smart pivot on his play. Arud now holds the bomb once again. Holding the bomb for long periods of time, however, unable to convert on any kills. Shots with the bomb ends up sacking out Arud. Now you have Real Gamer in the mix. Real Gamer to Shots. Shots, can he give it back? He does. Real Gamer sacks Ferocious instead on his own servers. Real Gamer going up against Shots for round number 2. Real Gamer, can he pass it over to Shots? Yes, he does. It is now Bob Blown. Bob with the bomb. To Fantana. Fantana tracks it back. Bob Blown caught up against the wall and is taken out. Sharks will take round number 2. Bob Blown stays back. Chris, take it out. Slump to Bob. Bob to Fantana. Fantana back to Bob. Bob sacks out Arud. Tried passing it to Fantana. They were unsuccessful in doing so. Shots. Holds the bomb. Ends up sacking Kai instead. Tried getting Slump. Unsuccessful in doing so. It is now Slump up against Shots' demise. Shots playing much better in this round. Shots can track over. Unable to do so. You got Vox to Slump. Vox now holds a bomb. Passing it to Slump. Slump has timing. Tracks out Vox. More numbers for the Sharks. Bob Blown against the entire lobby. Gives it to Ferocious. Ferocious stacking his teammate instead. Not sure what happened there. Bob up against Slump now. Slump has timing. Bob grabs and is out. 3-0 Sharks. Shots. Can he pass it over? Gives it to Fantana. Fantana back to the lobby. Now you have Slump. From Bob. And Bob Blown is taken out of the mix. Arud. Can he pass it over? Unsuccessful in doing so. Got Kai with the bomb. Kai in the middle. Ends up giving it to Slump. Slump is out. Ferocious remains alive. Going up against Kai. Kai will track it. Ferocious, no timing. Looking very good for the Beasts right now, who have the advantage in numbers. Kai, NA player. Kai, can he pass it? Needs to give it to someone. Ends up sacking shots instead. I think that was the smartest play that Kai could have made so far. Or given the situation. Real Gamer going for Vox. Vox needs to pass it back. Can he do it? He's unsuccessful in doing so. The numbers have tilted. Real Gamer up against Kai. Real Gamer to Kai. And that is another win for the Sharks. Fantana to shots. Fantana back to Arud. Arud gets sacked. Not sacked. Arud's taken out. Although I don't think that was the intended target. Shots with the bomb. Giving it to Slump. Slump's track back easily. Slump to Ferocious. Bob Blown now holds the bomb. Can Bob give it? Ends up giving it to Chris via Vox. Smart play by Bob Blown. Brilliant play, proving why he is the #1 player worldwide. Bob Blown to Slump. Slump, unable to track it back to Bob. And it's now Real Gamer up against Bob Blown. The World Cup champion against #1. #1 and #2. Who will win? And Bob Blown's taken out of the mix. Real Gamer, still alive. Can the champion track down Vox? And yes, he does. Kai to Ferocious. Ferocious to Kai. Tracks down like a hawk. That is another win for the Sharks. The Beasts immensely struggling. Bob Blown to Slump. Bob back to Slump. Slump's out. Ferocious to Bob. And Bob ends up sacking out shots. Real Gamer to Bob. And Bob is out. Taken up by Real Gamer. The World Cup champion. Zealand to Real Gamer. Real Gamer. Unable to give to anyone. Zealand remains in. And Fantana is taken out next. Zealand to Ferocious, and Zealand is out. Chris with the bomb to Kai. Kai needs to pass it over to Ferocious, and Ferocious is out. It is Vox and Kai up against Chris. Kai, can he pass it to Chris? Chris back, no. The Beasts take their first point. 5-1. Bob Blown Tracked down by Real Gamer. Real Gamer owning Bob Blown. What is going on? Shots demise taken out next by Slump. Real Gamer taken out by Vox. Kai's out. Vox. Can Slump track it to Ferocious? No, Ferocious is taken out. It is now a 2-on-2. Fantana up against Zealinf. Slump now holds the bomb. Zealinf and Slump will go at it. Zealinf taken out. Vox from Slump. Slump unable to track it. Vox from Fantana. And Fantana wins it for his team. 6-1. Zealinf to Ferocious. Ferocious back to Zealinf, and Zealinf is out. Vox and Slump. ISO'd for now. Will anyone come in? No. No, yes. Ferocious came in, however, Slump is taken out. Failed sandwich play. Bob Blown and Chris. Bob Blown tracking it over to Chris, and Chris is out. Bob Blown, Ferocious, and Real Gamer in the mix. Bob Blown and Ferocious ISO'd. Bob Blown outran by Ferocious, and Ferocious is tracked at the very last second. Holy hawk by Bob Blown. Bob Blown and Real Gamer. Real Gamer tracks it back, and Real Gamer further owning Bob Blown. Real Gamer taken up by shots. Real Gamer to Kai. And Vox taken out. Real Gamer proving to be a pivotal asset despite being an EU player. Real Gamer to Kai. And that's another win for the Sharks. Chris from Bob. Bob giving it to Slump. Chris, the next player out. Real Gamer to Bob Blown. Bob Blown to Real Gamer. Finally, Bob Blown gets his revenge on Real Gamer. It is now Bob Blown against Fantana. Fantana is angry that Real Gamer, his captain, was taken out. Zealinf tracking down Fantana. What a change so far this has been. It is now up to Ferocious to make some magic happen. Bob Blown gets his no! Taken out by Ferocious. It is now a 4-on-1. Ferocious. Shots. Ferocious will track back. No issue at all. The beasts cannot let Ferocious ISO everyone. There needs to be some chem here. Zealinf is hawked down. Ferocious still alive. Going for Kai. No. Kai outruns. And Ferocious is out. That is another point for the beasts. Bob Blown to Fantana. Bob Blown now up against Real Gamer. Real Gamer tracked from far. However, Zealinf is taken out through a chain by Slump. Zealinf in the incorrect positioning, which got him taken out. Bob Blown to Chris. Chris to Bob Blown, and Bob is back in the lobby. Ferocious going for Slump now. No, Vox is now in the mix. Slump Tracking it to Vox. Smart play. Slump. Over to Shots. Shots is taken out. Now you have Slump tracking down Kai next. Kai gives it over to Slump. Kai has some timing. Slump now has the timing advantage. Takes out Kai. 8-1 Sharks. Or sorry, 8-2 Sharks. Shots to Mize. The first player taken out in round number 11. Kai to Fantana. Fantana to Slump. Slump taken out. Bob Lone over to Real Gamer. Real Gamer to Zealanth. Zealanth to Real Gamer, and Real Gamer is out. Chris to Bob. Bob over to Zealanth, and Zealanth is out. Sacked by his own teammate. Chris needs to give it over to Vox. Vox taken out. Ferocious over to Kai. Chris now has to pass it over, and he does. Is now Bob Blown up against Chris. Bob Blown, can he track him down? Bob Blown, ankles. Unable to be tracked down by Chris. Bob Blown up against Ferocious now. Bob Blown has a bomb. Gives it over to Ferocious. Ferocious passes back. Ferocious taking out Bob, and that is another win for the Sharks. 9-2. Zealanth. Over to Slump. Zealanth unable to pass back to anyone. Shots over to Fantana. Fantana's taken out. Slump. Shots. Real Drew. Passing it over to Shots, and Shots is back in the lobby. Slump over to Bob. Bob needs to pass it. No, unsuccessful in doing so. Slump to Ferocious. Now Kai's in the mix. Kai gets mixed and takes out Real Gamer. Slumping Kai. Slump over to Noah. Oh, tried getting a chain off. Unsuccessful in doing so. It is now a 2-on-2 with Ferocious still in the mix. Ferocious back to Kai. And now Kai ends up taking out Vox. Ferocious up against Kai. Kai to Ferocious. Ferocious to Chris, sacking out. Sacking out Kai. Game point, Sharks. Real Gamer taken out. Slump over to Bob Blown. Bob Blown's going out next. Slump to Shots. Shots is out. Now a 2-on-2. Ferocious. Still well and alive. Going for Vox. Vox, outran by Ferocious, is now the two, Chris and Ferocious, up against Chris. Up against Kai, sorry. Kai and Ferocious going up for Kai. Kai gives it to Chris. Chris hands it back. And that is the the first set to the Sharks. We already know a server switch is happening. No questions asked about that. Alright, so we'll leave the server. We'll let the new server get made. And we are now in a new server. Bob Lone taken out by a North American West Ferocious. Oh yes, I do need to reset the scores. Let me do that real quick. Alright. Alright, I'm back in it for real. Bob Lone. Passing it over to Slump. No. Was unsuccessful in doing so. Shots taken out next. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't commentating for a bit. Slump taken out. The Sharks, honestly, an absolute crap show. Ferocious now holds a bomb. Ferocious to Barra. Barra back to Ferocious, and Barra is taken out of the mix. Real Gamer to Vox. Vox to Real Gamer. Real Gamer back to Vox. Zealand, the last player remaining for the Beasts. Real Gamer taken out. Sorry, Zealand taken out. That is another point for... Yeah. Another point for the Sharks. Shots taking out Fantana. Barra up against Slump now. Slump to Barra, and Barra taking out Zealand, sacking his own teammate. Barra, next player to go down. Real Gamer to Shots. Shots back to Real Gamer. Real Gamer give it to Slump instead. Got sacked out. Is now Ray up against Vox. Ray over to Shots. Demise instead. Ray needs to pass it over to Vox. Can he do so? Vox back to Ray. Ray sacking Ferocious instead. Bob Blown still alive. So is Real Gamer. Bob Blown needs to pass it back to Ray. Can he do so? No, he's not successful in doing so. Vox to Real. Real has timing. Holds. No, sacks his own teammate. Is now Real Gamer up against Vox. Two very strong players. Real Gamer over to Vox. Vox tracks to Real Gamer. First point for the Beasts. Bob Blown unable to give it to Ray. No idea what happened there. Shots demise, unable to track it back. Zealand to Ray, giving it to Fantana, and Fantana is out. Slump taken out next. Real Gamer back to Ibera. Real Gamer to Zealand. Zealand can't track it back. Real Gamer take it out next, and now it's Vox up against Ray. Vox, the last player alive. Can he clutch up another point for his team? Can he tie it up? And yes, he does. We are tied 2-2. Slump needs to give it to Ferocious, and he does. Ferocious is out. No, Slump sacked his own teammate. What am I saying? Fantana going for Bob Blown. Bob back to Fantana. Bob finally gets a chain. Finally passes the bomb over. Slump and Vox. Sorry. Yeah, Slump and Bob. Blown Bob to Slump. Slump tried to sack Real Gamer. Unable to do so. Keeps it entertaining for viewers. Zealand to Ray. And Zealand is out. It is now Ray up against Shots. However, Bob doesn't want that to happen. He wants to get him away, and Ray is forced to go for Bob. Bob is so confident that he can get Ray. However, he shouldn't have been so confident. Shots. It's passed to Ray, and Ray doesn't give it back. And now it is numbers for the Beasts. Real Gamer, the World Cup champion, Hawks down shots. It is now Real Gamer up against Bera. Can the champion do what he did back in December and prove why he's one of the best? No. The Beasts take the lead for the first time in this match. Ferocious is out. Bob Plone is out next. Bera to Real Gamer. Bera is out. Real Gamer over to Vox. Real Gamer back to Vox. Vox, can he pass it over to Real Gamer? Real Gamer needs to give the slot. No, unable to do so. Swamp over to Shots. Shots far away. Can he maybe track? Can we get the EU? No. No EU reach. Vox, the last player remaining, going up for Slump. Can Slump tie back? And I think he will. We are tied 3-3. Chris goes down first. Ferocious sitting out. Real Gamer for Bob Blown. Bob can't track it back. Real Gamer stopping up Bob Blown. I beat you in the World Cup and I'm gonna beat you in the league. Fantana is out. Slump. Slump has no one to give it to. Try to give it to the wall. However, the wall doesn't like you back. The wall doesn't take bombs. It's immune. It's immortal. Real Gamer to Z-Lymph, and Z-Lymph is out. Q1, Ray going for shots. Ray tries to swindle, fixes himself, and still takes out shots. Solar. Bera needs to get tracked. Ends up attacking Ray instead. It is now a 2-on-1. Real Drew up against Vox and Bera. Real to Bera. Bera doesn't track it back. It is now Vox up against Real Gamer. A very anticipated 1-on-1. Can Vox track? Real Gamer grabs, and Vox puts his team back ahead by 1. Ferocious to Bera. Bera needs to track it. Unsuccessful in doing so. Z-Lymph to Real Gamer. Real Gamer grabs. Needs to track it, and he does. Shots to Ferocious, and Ferocious accepted his fate. Shots to Real Gamer. Real Gamer to Shots. Shots unable to pass it back. Ray to Bob. Slump taken out. Real Gamer. Unable to go for Vox. Bob Blown still alive. Vox going for Ray. Ray to Vox. Vox back to Ray. Beasts go up by 2. Ray given his first leg warning. Not good for the Sharks, who are already down by 2 in set number 2. Ray to Zealand. Zealand back to Ray. Ray's out. Zealand needs to give it to Real Gamer. Zealand to Real. Real Gamer needs to pass and Real Gamer is out. Fantana. Fantana to Zealand. Zealand ends up taking out Fantana. A bunch of Sharks players tried getting him away. Unsuccessful. Ferocious going for shots. Ferocious and shots. Ferocious and Slump. Shots has the bomb. Tracks down Slump. Scary for Shots, however, he managed to hold his ground. Shots going for Ferocious. Can he track it over? Yes, he does. Easy win by the Beasts. 6-3. There seems to be a pause in the game. Oh, I have to take over now. Okay. So I guess I need to referee. Let's take over. Ray with the bomb. Ray giving it to Slump. Slump and Ray. Chris. Chris now holds the bomb, giving it to Bob Blown. Bob Blown ends up giving it back to Slump. Shots now holds the bomb. Shots giving it to Ray. Ray needs to track it back. Can he do so? Unable to do so. Ferocious and Shots. Ferocious back to Shots. Shots and Ferocious. Shots giving it to Ferocious. Shots still in the mix. Clear starter for the Beasts. Zealand over to Chris. Chris to Zealand and Zealand back to Chris. Real Gamer, the final player remaining for the Sharks. Not sure what's going on with this team. Real Gamer taking out Zealand. Now it's Real Gamer up against Shots. Real Gamer, can he pass it? No, he can't. That is another point for the Beasts. Shots to Real Gamer. Real Gamer unable to give it to anyone. Shots from Ferocious. Slump holds the bomb. Shots needs to pass to Slump and Slump is out. Ferocious to Bob Blown. Bob Blown needs to give it to Ferocious. And Chris ends up getting the short end of the stick. Ferocious. Can he track it over to Shots? Ends up giving it to Zealand instead. Ferocious in the mix. Going for Bob Blown instead. Ray. Can he give it to anyone? No. Unsuccessful in doing so. Ferocious. The last player remaining. The only NA West player, by far having the highest ping, needs to clutch up for his team. Can he do so? Beara is taken out. I'd say he was taken out by Ferocious. However, it looks like he took himself out. Ferocious needs to track the Bob Blown. Can he do so? Unsuccessful in doing so. That is another point for the Beasts. Ferocious passes the bomb over. Fantana, can he give it to Ferocious? And he does. Real Gamer. Real Gamer to Zealinth. Zealinth needs to give it back. Has no one to give it to. And is sent back to the lobby. Fantana. To Shots. Shots back to Fantana. Fantana is out. Bob Blown. Gonna give a mix. ISOing with Ray. No one's around. It's going to be a pure ISO. And Ray is out. Bob Blown wins a battle. Bob loading up against Real Drew. Number 1 and number 2 going right at it. And they will be isolated. Real grabs the bomb. Real outruns. Oh, taken out by Bob Blown. Nine 3 for the Beasts. Slump resets. Chris to Zealinth. Zealinth is out. Ferocious is out. Shots demise. Taken out next. Yo, thank you for the heart me's and the roses. Half Campsy and Jizo. Ruggiero. Bera's taken out next. Now it's Chris up against Vox. Vox gives a 3 to Chris. Late 3. Vox has a 2. Bob gets of a mix and ends up taking out Chris through the chain. Vox to Fantana. Fantana going for Real Gamer for the assist. And Vox is taken out. Now it is Bob Blown up against the Sharks. Fantana to Bob. Bob back to Fantana. Fantana can't do anything. It is now Bob Blown up against Ray. Bob Blown back to Ray. Ray's out. The 1v1 we've all been wanting. Real Gamer up against Bob Blown. Bob Blown, number 1 and number 2. Real Gamer grabs. Can Real Gamer track? And he does. 9-4. All right, well, I'll let him Jake and ref the other round. Ray is taken out first. Fantana is out next. Shots to Ferocious. Shots is out. Zealinth from Chris. Zealinth is out. Bob Blown giving it to Real Gamer. Barra gets taken out of the mix. Ferocious holding the bomb, going for Bob Blown. Real Gamer and Bob now in the mix. Bob gets his revenge on Real Gamer. Bob Blown stomping on Real. They do not like each other. Chris. To Bob, and Bob is out. Ferocious. Ferocious to Vox. Vox is out. That is another win for the Sharks. Score is 9-5. Shots. Ture, who then took out Zealenth. Shots to Real Gamer, and Real Gamer is out. Shots to Chris. Chris back to shots. Shots to Chris, and Chris is out. Ferocious to Bob. Bob back to Vero. And that is another win for the Beasts. Now at game point. Ray issued a penalty and will be sat for round number 16. Real Gamer, 2 shots. Real Gamer, back to shots. Shots, can he track it? Yes, he does. And now it's Fox up against Ferocious. Ferocious has a bomb. Slump is taken out instead. Fox now needs to go for Ferocious if he wants to keep his team alive. Ferocious has a chance to close it out. He couldn't. The score is 10-6. It's 11-5. Oh, okay, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. My bad. My bad. My bad. As you can see, I didn't get much sleep. It's 11-6. Well, the Beasts take set number 2. Now we go to set number 3, where we already know what's happening. We're switching back. As you guys saw, Tom Bob Duels hit 20,000 concurrent players today. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the support. So now we need to go to set number 3. We're now going into round number 1 of set number 3. Slump of the bomb. Bob is clearly lagging. Bob will be issued a leg warning. Not the start that the beasts wanted. Bob is out. Solar needs to pass it over to someone. Has no one to give it to. Real Gamer. Back to Kai. Flicks. And Ferocious takes the first dub for his team. Give me a second, fellas. I'll be right back. Vox or, uh, I'll get the score update. It's Bob Blown already. Bob and Real going at it, and Bob won. So let's actually get a score update. Or actually, you know what? I'll let the referee. 3-2 for the Sharks. 3-2. Go and get to round number 6. Kai going for Ferocious. Kai gives it to Chris, and Chris is out. Ferocious needs to pass it over to Kai, and Kai is taken out. Berra out next. Vox to Vero. Vero to Vox. Slump needs to track it back, and Vox is out. Another win for the Sharks, 4-2. Froppy, I was AFK, but thank you for the 100 roses. Much appreciated, man. Thank you. Vox issued a leg warning on that play. Bob Long going for Ferocious. Ferocious back to Bob. Bob can track it. No. Another win for the Sharks. 5-2. I was just pinged somewhere. Not sure where I was pinged, but okay. Zealand, first player out, sent to the lobby. Shots. To Slump. Slump taking out shots with ease. Berra going for Ferocious. Ferocious to Berra. Berra to Fantana. Fantana, can he track down Berra? Yes, he does. Berra got caught up against the wall. Should have kept on running. Real gamer to Kai. Real holds on the wall. Kai sees the play and outruns Berra. Did not take the bait. Ferocious to Kai. Vero walks. Kai has Ferocious number, and Vero is out. It is still up to Kai, though. Slump to Kai. And Kai is taken out in that mix. 6-2. Fantana going out next. Bob blown to Kai, and Shots was taken out of that sequence. These two teams have been going at it for over an hour. Arud is out next. So Arud ends up taking out someone. Not sure who that was. Vero trying to go for Arud, got caught up against the wall. Real Gamer is sacked. It is now Ferocious versus 4 players of the Beasts. Vero going for Kai first. Kai to Vero. And that is a point for the Beasts. The Beasts cut the lead in half. Slump taken out of that sequence. Kai from Fantana. Arud is sacked instead. Chris can't track it over to Kai. Chris is out. It's a 3-on-3 or 4-on-3. Beasts have numbers, however, it doesn't really matter when the server advantage is not in their favor. Now it's a 3-on-3. Shots to Fantana. Fantana needs to pass it over to Shots. And Fantana is out. It's now Shots and Real Gamer. Going at it. Real Gamer to Shots, and Shots is out. Now it's a 2-on-2 with Ferocious and the World Cup champion, Kai and Vero. Vero has timing. Kai now has timing. Takes out Ferocious at the last tetrasecond. Real Gamer to Kai. Kai over to Real Gamer. Real has timing. Can he flick it over? Vox gets taken out. It is now a 1-on-1. Kai versus Real Gamer. Kai tried to outrun. Now has timing on Real and wins it. 6-4 for the Sharks. Ferocious to Arud. Arud has no one to give it to and sends himself back to the lobby. Real Gamer, can he pass it over? No, he can't. Kai. Slump. And Ferocious is out. Kai is taken out. He'll be sitting in the lobby. It is a 3-on-3. However, the best player for the Beasts on these servers is no longer in. Shots is out. It's now Bob Lone going up against Chris, Slump, and Fantana. Bob has timing on Slump and will take him out. Oh, Slump ends up sacking down Chris instead. Slump wants to never go with Bob. It would be embarrassing if he loses twice. He won't though. Bob is back in the lobby. It's now up to Vox to take out Fantana. And Vox will run. No! What a chain by the Sharks! Oh. 7-4. Ideal. Thank you for the roses. Half. Thank you for the roses. I didn't see that. Half an ideal. Thank you so much. So much. And more money. My boy, more money with 20 roses. Wow, those roses smell good, man. Can't even lie. They smell really good. Bob issued a penalty. Not good for the Beasts, who are already pretty down. Now going into round number 12. Vox to Slump. Slump needs to give it. Ferocious to Kai. And Kai's out. Chris to Arud. Arud is out. Real Gamer to Shots, and Shots is out. Chris is out. Another point for the Sharks. 8-4. Ferocious takes out Arud. Yes, you know, we've made this game, we've made a lot of kids happy through the power of our games, custom mini games, and time bomb duels. Appreciate the compliment, Daniel. Ferocious taking out Chris. Fantana taken out next. Swamp taking out Ferocious. Ferocious is out. Real Gamer to Vox, and Vox is out next. Swamp is out. Real Gamer and Kai. Can Real Gamer get his team another point? No, he doesn't. It is 8-5 for the Beasts, who still have a chance to try and come back and be competitive. However, time is running out. On the bright side, Vox will be put back in, starting next round. Looks like there's been a pause. Will we have another leg warning? Or a leg penalty? Bob and Real fighting. And the referee gave them a penalty. Sorry, a warning. Minigame was stopped. Bob Lone was not in. Now we'll start round number 14 for Real. Slump to Kai. Kai. Back to Chris, and Kai is out. Real Gamer to Slump, and Slump is out. Shots going down next. Not looking good. Arud taken out by Chris. Sharks dominating. The Beast slowly going down. Bob Lone won't be able to do much against what he has in front of him. Chris tracked down Bob flawlessly. And now it's up to Vox to 4v1. Will he be able to do it? Probably not. But never say never. Taking out Ferocious. Oh yeah, Ferocious goes down first. At the mercy of Vox. Now Vox going to try and get out Chris. Chris is just too far away. Maybe a chain? No. Now it's Real Gamer and Vox. Fantana in for support. However, looks like it'll be a classic ISO, and Real Gamer is out. Can Vox complete the 4-on-1? Going up against Fantana. Fantana fully 5 KOs. This would not be even time. And Vox, oh my goodness. Vox just 4v1'd. Another point to the Beasts. What a 4v1 by Vox. Chris to Arud. Arud back to Crit. Oh, takes out Fantana instead. Shots going for Real Gamer. Shots. Gave it to Bob Blown instead. Arud from Real Gamer, and Real Gamer is out. Slump has no one to give it to. Shots to Chris, and Chris is out next. It is now Ferocious up against 4 players. Okay, Ferocious 4v1, just like how Vox did. Shots going down first. Ferocious and Kai in the mix. Vox surrounding. Aru needs to get in it, and Ferocious is tracked. The Beasts come back within 1. They're on a mission looking to tie it up. Real Gamer taking out shots. Real Gamer and Arud. Arud second down Slump instead. Real Gamer and Arud for real number 2. Real Gamer lost the first time, and Real Gamer had to sack. Arud taken out by Chris. Bob Blown holds a bomb. Wants to get Real Gamer, unsuccessful in doing so. Now it's Vox. Can he 4v1 again, like he did the last time? Tried getting a chain off. Vox knew it was coming and positioned himself perfectly. Real Gamer taken out by Vox. Vox needs to take out Ferocious, arguably the hardest player, ends up sacking down Chris. Vox in a 1v1 situation up against Ferocious. Vero with 28 KOs. Vero needs to track back. He doesn't. We're tied 8-8. Vox 4v1s once again. Arud issued a leg warning. We are tied 8-8. Late in set number 3 of game 1 of the OTA finals. Real Gamer shots is sacked out. Real Gamer and Vox, Chris taking out Arud. Arud is back in the lobby. Not looking good for the Beasts. However, as long as Vox is alive, there will always be hope. Chris, take it out. Tried getting a chain on Kai, unsuccessful in doing so. Bob Blown to Fantana. Fantana, unable to take out Bob Blown. Bob lives to stay alive. It is a 3-on-3, ladies and gentlemen. And Bob Blown is lagging. Might get a penalty. Not sure what happened, and Bob is out. Not the time for Bob to be lagging. Slump to Kai, and Kai is out. And now it's Vox up against 3 players. Real Gamer, Vox in the mix, and Vox is tracked. That is the point for the Sharks. Leg warning 3 for Bob. 1 more and he is ejected. Real Gamer to Zealenf. Zealenf to Real Gamer, and Real Gamer takes out Chris instead, sacks him. Zalenf is out next. Shots to Real Gamer. Shots to Real, and Real Gamer is out. Unable to get shots in time. Fantana to Vox. And Fantana ends up taking out Vox. That is detrimental to the Beast's success. Ferocious to Arud. And Shots and Arud weren't able to chem together. Zero chem. Arud. Can he track down Ferocious? No. Ferocious tracks back. And now Slump has a bomb. It is Kai and Slump. Slump to Kai. No, unsuccessful. It's now Vero up against Kai. These two have been going at it. They do not like each other. However, Vero has been winning much more often. And Kai is out. Ferocious wins. It is 10-8. 10-8, game point. Beasts must win the next two if they want to send it to overtime. Real Gamer taking out Chris via Kai. Real Gamer up against Kai now. And Real Gamer ends up taking out Fantana via Vox. Slump. Going for Kai. Arud is out. Arguably a much better option than Kai, given the circumstances in the region and how late we are. Shots. Ankled, but ends up ankling Real Gamer. There is an abundance of Beasts players alive. However, Vero is still alive. Slump takes the ball from Slump and has nothing to do with it. 3-on-2. Slump to Kai. Kai back to Slump. Slump needs to pass it back. Kai won't be able to ankle and Zalenf is taken out. Ultimately, I think that sack was the most appropriate given the circumstance. Kai, however, cannot afford to lose. And he is about... No! Slump is taken out and now it's a 2-on-1. For Ferocious. Can Ferocious seal game number 1 for his team? Or will this go to round number 20? And it will go to round number 20. Sharks have the game point advantage. Beasts have the opportunity to tie. No timeouts called by either team. We're going to round number 20, ladies and gentlemen. For the win or for overtime. Something will happen here. The best number in all of time, Bomb Bro. Round 20. Zalenf goes down first. Now Bob Blown going for Real Gamer. Real Gamer, take it out! No! Real Gamer sacks instead. Did not want to lose to Bob Blown. Bob Blown making some progress happen. Gives to Chris. Kai has a bomb. No one around him. That was a no! That was bad by the Beasts. That was not a good move by the Beasts. Shots should have sacked. Shots should have sacked. Shots ends up taking out Fantana. At least there's a redeeming quality over there. The Beasts might have a chance. However, the chance is so slight. Real Gamer needs to give it Shots, and Shots is gone. Sharks have the numbers. Real Gamer. Real Gamer needs to give to Vox. Chris. Oh my god, Vox is out. Now it's Bob Blown. Must 3v1. It is round number 20. Can he do it? Real Gamer. Oh, it's Bob Blown. No. Bob lives. It's now Real Gamer and Bob. Real Gamer for his team. Taking out Bob Blown. And that is game. Real Gamer has sealed game number 1 for his team. 11-9. That is it. Game number 1 will go to the Sharks. Come back next week for game number 2. Beasts versus Sharks. What a game that was. See you next week.